guys, welcome back to Tea with D. I actually meant to post this video much earlier, but as some of you may know, YouTube took my page down a few days after I launched it, and they took it down for like almost a week. So thank you for your patience. So today we have our first ever submission and we're drinking our first cup of tea together. I'm going with a classic decaf green tea with some honey. I hope you have your mug as well, and let's get straight into it. So today's submission says, I'm at a point in my life where things are constantly changing. I'm totally grateful for it, but a continuous change in scenery as well as the need to make life-changing decisions has worsened my anxiety and sense of loneliness, even though I have the best people around me. This year, while strengthening my relationship with God, I'm praying for more clarity because I need it now more than ever. So firstly, thank you for being vulnerable and sharing this challenge with us. The first thing I want to ask is, have you ever been in a situation where you have so much to do and over time you just keep thinking, oh, I have so much to do, I have so much to do, I have so much to do, and you keep thinking about it over and over again till it gets to a point where it's just become this overwhelming, heavy feeling. But by the time you write down all the things you need to do into a to-do list, you realize, oh, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you get it done. I'm going to take it a step further with an analogy. So you know you have a bunch of chains or necklaces and you leave it in a jewelry box for a while, and by the time you come back, all the chains have morphed into this big chain that just has so many chains attached to it, and it's just giving you a headache because you're like, what is going on here? You don't even know where to start. Well, you're going to keep having that headache until you sit down and try to see them as individual chains. Once you see them as individual chains, you're able to trace a chain to where the knot is, and so until you get to that knot and begin pulling each chain out, the headache begins to reduce and you start to feel some kind of relief because you're now taking control of the messy situation. I say all of this to say that our mental stresses will always seem much heavier and bigger than they need to be when we can't articulate them, because at that point they're still so abstract and out of reach to us. So here's how I'd address this problem. So I first of all think of all the things that are stressing me out, whether it's the decisions I need to make, the changes that are happening in my life, and I write all of them down. I'll then categorize them into 2 groups: in my control, out of my control. So for the things that are in my control, I'll create action points. What are the decisions I need to make? What are the things I can do? And for the things that I can't control, after writing them down, I'll use them to create specific prayer points. Your submission implies that you believe in God, so hopefully this works for you as well. Each day, I'm working towards addressing each problem on this list, praying on the ones that are out of my control with specific prayer points, and acting on the ones that are in my control with the action plans that I wrote down, as opposed to just allowing them grow into this big web of anxiety-inducing stressors. Because you articulated and are now addressing these issues, you begin to feel this heavy feeling alleviating over time, because instead of just reacting to it, you're now being proactive and actually starting to take control of the situation in your own way. You always feel anxious to a degree when you're focusing on the things that you can't control because of the sense of helplessness that comes with it. So whenever you're transitioning from a state of helplessness into a state of control, you're naturally going to feel an alleviation of anxiety. Think of the initial feeling you got the first time you had to solve a math problem with multiple variables, maybe a system of equations question. So you see X, Y, Z, and you're seeing multiple equations and they're giving it to you as just one question. I'm sure you initially felt stressed because you were looking at everything all at once and seeing it as one big problem. But once you start to isolate the variables and prioritize solving for one at a time, you start to feel much calmer because now you're really easier to address and are now working towards solving it. You're in control now. So in your case, you have a big problem that contains all the changes that you're being faced with, the decisions that you need to make, the anxiety, the loneliness, the uncertainty that's coming with it. All of it is packaged into one big problem, resulting in a heavy feeling. Just like with the math problem, once you begin breaking down all of these issues into separate problems, you're going to naturally feel an alleviation of the burden that you initially felt. But with all that being said, if after specifying each of the things that are stressing you, if you find even just one thing that you're comfortable sharing with someone, I highly encourage you to find someone you trust and to talk about it with them, because trying to figure out overwhelming problems all alone will inevitably make you feel like you're all alone. This is why even people in the most powerful positions still have teams or assistants to help them navigate and discuss issues and to even help them make big decisions. Of course, not everyone will have something valuable to add, but simply having a listening ear makes all the difference, trust me. Lastly, it's completely understandable that you're seeking clarity in the midst of uncertainty, but remember that even when we feel that things are looking clear, life doesn't always go as expected or plan. So in situations where there's a lot of uncertainty, it's actually peace that I personally look for. So while you're figuring it all out, I pray and declare that in the place of anxiety, God overwhelms you with peace that passes all of your understanding. And in the place of loneliness, you begin to feel his presence as he holds your hand through all the change and uncertainty. Amen. I hope that knowing many of us are trying to cope with these same situations makes you feel less alone and more seen. I also encourage anyone else who has experience with this type of situation to let us know how they were able to cope with it. Thanks for watching, and especially for your vulnerability. I'll see you next Sunday. Bye!